All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Cobbs with the Parlay Parlor again, and we're here with another day of NBA bets, props, and data. Before we get started, let's have a recap of last night. Unfortunately, after such a strong return on Tuesday, it sucks to fall back into the mean. We have a 2-2 night, but again, I don't want to sound like a broken record and say that if I take these props 9 times out of 10, they will go our way. Sometimes we're going to have to be honest with ourselves and call out the bad reads when they were there. But in my defense, when we get down to the losses, I hope you understand, or at least sympathize with me a little bit, because I am just coming off of a couple hours of sleep and had to watch a whole slate of games. I'm going to try with today to stagger them a little bit more in a more time-sensitive manner, so hopefully we don't have another brutal beat at midnight or close to midnight. But again, RJ Barrett, the revenge narrative was there. He cruised over his line. He had 11 rebounds and assists. I think he had 6 rebounds by halftime. He ended up with 8, and he had 3 assists. If you did watch yesterday, you would have remembered I said that honestly, if you had chose to ride into taking the heavier line or even taking his PRA at an even 20.5, I couldn't fault you at all. He ended up with 14 points. Sorry. So all in all, it could have been an RJ Barrett night. The read was strong there. Nikola Vucevic, same thing. Even though this was a little bit of a sweat, he had his 4th assist to Kobe White early in the 4th quarter, but it took almost to near the end of regulation for the scorekeepers to finally give it to him. There was a little bit of confusion on whether or not Kobe had to create a shot, but thankfully they did give it to him. And then we come off to the crescendo, or the finale. This was a rough watch. I mean, both of them were soaring. Let's start off with Lauri Markkanen. If you recall, I did say that if you decided to go for his assist at 1.5, I couldn't be mad at it at all. I honestly liked it. I honestly took it in a separate parlay. This cashed by halftime. By halftime, he had 5 rebounds and assists, actually. So you would think for him to get 3 more in a game that, honestly, the Jazz were in it. I mean, yes, there were times where they went down huge swats, and then towards the end, they were down, I think, close to 30 when they pulled the starters. But they got this lead down to 8-9 points relatively a couple times, like after the second half. And it just seemed as if the Jazz are the Jazz. I mean, let's be honest. For me to take 2 props on a team that is purposefully tanking, maybe boneheaded by me, but at the same time, if you keep up with the Jazz this season, their home games tend to be money games. These guys cook. And in the last case in point, Keontae George, I mean, he had 19 points and assists by halftime. He comes into the 4th quarter, he only needs 4 points and assists. He has 26, and then he proceeds to go 0 for 3. Misses 2 dime opportunities. Well, he doesn't miss 2 dime opportunities. He has 2 potential assists where I think Brian Sensabaugh and Isaiah Collier don't get the job done. 9 times out of 10, again, I don't want to sound like a broken record. I think this cashes for us. With such a banged up Golden State Warriors team, my argument with Lauri Markkanen was the front court presence of Draymond and Al Horford shouldn't beg much to differ. I mean, I was very wrong there, I'll admit it, but who would have called out Draymond Green and Al Horford, giving themselves the time machine and going back to 2015 on a Wednesday night NBA slate 10 days before the All-Star break? Hey, it's a new day. We have a new slate of props. We're going to keep it condensed again, just because I think when we go smaller, the volume is shorter, but I think the quality is higher. Again, coming off of a 2-2 night, that begs to differ. But at the end of the day, I mean, we're walking away with our money back, or maybe depending on the time that you saw it or the price you got it at, you're walking away with a little more or a little less, but not a catastrophic night. It could have always been worse. Anyway, let's get started with today's slate. So first, we're gonna go to DC, where I personally will be at this game. We're gonna see the Milwaukee Bucks take on the Washington Wizards. It is John Wall night. I believe the Wizards are going to put John Wall's jersey in the Raptors. Highly well deserved, by the way. So hopefully, Capital One Arena should be, at least the ambiance will be raised a little bit in comparison to the rest of the season. And Trae Young should be on the bench. That always brings the crowd out a little bit more. First, we're gonna go into the next generation. They're celebrating John Wall. We're gonna look at one of the cogs that will try to emulate him tonight and in the future. We're going with Trey Johnson. Great congratulations to him. This week he was called up along with two other Wizards, I think Kashai George and Alex Sarr, to take part in the Rising Stars Challenge. And it kind of just shows this Washington team, which while they've been rough to watch for a long time and maybe will continue to be, I think we're starting to see the foundation start to settle a little bit, or at least we can see the building blocks outside. They might not have the workers or the tools, but they have the building blocks, and they're getting ready for something. I don't know what that something will be. Hopefully we'll get to see a preview of that today. So we have the Milwaukee Bucks coming in, and right now they're currently missing Giannis. I potentially could have played his last game if we were listening to reports, but definitely we're not going to see Giannis for the foreseeable future. I think if we look at the injury report for Milwaukee, they're just missing Giannis, Tyshawn Prince, and Kevin Porter Jr. So when we're looking at this matchup, it's probably going to be one of Ryan Rollins or AJ Green on Trey Johnson. For the Wizards, they have a lot of people out again. Trae Young, or more likely than not going to see him this season. Alex Sarr is sick. We're going to see what happens with the injury report later in the day. And Marvin Bagley will also be out. So in our defense of this prop that you can currently get at -125 on DraftKings. If you don't have DraftKings, FanDuel is offering it at 20.5, a little bit more juice. Or if you see this later, you can definitely take an alt line to get 19.5. But currently right now, I like it. We're talking about a Milwaukee Bucks team that ranks quite abysmally to the point guard position. It's listed here that Trey Johnson's a shooting guard, but I'm pretty sure he's going to play at the 1 today. Right now, the Bucks are the 8th worst team and the 10th worst team of defending, the 8th worst team and the 20th worst, 8th and 10th worst team, sorry about that, of defending points and assists to the point guard position. Position. If we're looking at the amount of shots that Trey Johnson is taking up, the volume is there. Unfortunately enough, which I tend to not like, he is jacking up a lot of threes, which are a very volatile stat. You kind of need them to go your way, but again, if you're shooting at 30% clip, and here he's been quite consistent lately, shooting at 60, 40, 43, and an overall field goal makes of 44%, and he's getting the volume up. He's putting up 22 shots. I hope you get me 20 points and assists just in points alone, right? But if we look at similar point guards that have recently played the Bucks, Tyrese Maxey just slightly went under. Bruce Brown, SGA, CJ McCollum was coming off the bench. These guys are barely skating through. We can ignore Vic Kadri because he's coming off the bench. Even in the case of Darian Fox, these guys are a bucket or two off. And if we look at shooting guards, which he naturally is, VJ Edgecombe, Tim Hardaway Jr., Jalen Pickett, the stats are there in order to help us. Again, it is John Wall night. I don't want you to think that I'm leaning into this just because I personally would be at the game, but I think the circumstances and the narrative kind of speak into it. Trey Johnson, 20 points and assist. I like it. Lock it in. Let's continue. Our next prop is going to be Miles Turner. We're going to go for 15. Actually, no, that's incorrect. I'm sorry. I did not filter this down. We're going with 21.5 22 points and rebounds for Miles Turner. The narrative here is that the Wizards are terrible in general, but they are the 8th worst team and the 28th worst team at defending, the 2nd worst team and the 8th worst team. Sorry about that, it's early. At defending points and rebounds to the center position. And as we talked about just a while ago with Trey Johnson at the injury report, Marvin Bagley, Alex Sarr, and Tristan Vukovic are all out, or potentially out, especially in Alex Sarr's case. The Bucks, they're missing Giannis, so we're gonna get a front court of Bobby P and Miles Turner. You could probably lean into another Bobby Portis points and rebounds prop. I have not looked on the data on that yet. I will, and I'll put in the comments if I like it as a potential lean. But in terms of points and rebounds for Miles Turner, we have an opening line of 20.5. It's fluctuating from 21 back to 20, back to 21. At 21, I like it. I don't see him going much higher because, again, it is the Wizards. This has blowout potential written all over it, but it is a celebratory night at Capital One, and you tend to see teams show up a little more. I mean, look at Boston and Chicago over the weekend. I mean, the Celtics were up for the majority of the game, but then Chicago just roared back to win at the buzzer. But if we look in games where Giannis was most recently came out, which I want to say was against the Spurs, he's been over this line in every game. When we look in games in general this season without Giannis, he is over. That it's not that enticing in our favor, actually. So let's not look at all across the season. Let's just look at most recently without Giannis. In the 3 most games without it, he's covered with 22, 24, and 35. He is going to be seeing the minutes. He is going to be taking more shots because the Bucks have to try to do something to keep their season alive, even as much as it might be a lost cause. They don't want to admit that when their MVP, Hall of Fame power forward wants to get out and jump ship. In terms of field goals, I mean, Miles Turner, you're going to get what you get with him always. He's going to, unfortunately, not want to go crash the rim, be a focal presence in the paint, and he'll always want to randomly spot up and at the top of the key for a 3, but they hit sometimes. I mean, this season he's shooting his 3s at a 48% clip, so I can't even fault him. And when you're making your field goal attempts at a 55% make, you can't be mad at it either. The rebound chances, again, he hates rebounding, and again, it does sound a little bit contradictory, taking a center for rebounds who doesn't like to do it. But again, when we look at the Wizards, they're going to be playing a lot of small ball. I don't know if that's going to be to their benefit. They haven't tried that much this season. They haven't had much reason to. I mean, Alex Sarr has been developing, but now they don't have much of a front court presence at all. I mean, we're looking at Anthony Gill getting substantial minutes tonight, which, again, doesn't entice me very much, especially when we have Trey Johnson on the card as well. But the matchup is there. There's going to be a mismatch in the front court. Bobby Portis and Miles Turner should get their opportunities. The likes of Ryan Rollins, who himself is on a revenge plot game. I mean, I think this is his 2nd game back in DC. Not since the trade, but I think since he's had a renaissance this season, when people initially were thinking he could have been a potential runner for a comeback player of the year. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity there for Miles Turner to facilitate, to catch some boards that are hanging there to be caught by the big man, and he's pretty reliable when it comes to shooting himself when it's his night. If you're still here halfway through the video, I do appreciate it. If you can, I will again ask that you like and subscribe. Leave a comment on what you like from the prop our list today, what you don't like from the props today, and maybe what you're rocking with. Let's see if we can maybe get a comment chain going of the ride of the day, or someone provides a straight and see if they can keep that streak going. Now onward to our second to last prop of tonight. We're going to go to Dallas, where we have the Hornets taking on the Mavericks. It seems weird that I'm going for the lesser rookie in this matchup, but hear me out. We're going to go with Concanupple, 26 points, rebounds, and assists. When we look at it across the season, he's hitting this at a great clip in his last 10. He's hitting at a 60% for his last five, and 55% for the last 20 games. Most recently, he has taken up less shots, but that is because the likes of LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges and Brandon Miller are all healthy and have been taking more of the offensive responsibilities. But when we look at the supporting data, in our defense, he is taking a lot more of a facilitator's role. He is crashing the boards, he is gobbling them up, and he is facilitating with a lot more assists now. He's getting 6 assists, 4, and the supporting data, the potential assists aren't necessarily there, but when you have shooters like LaMelo, Miles, and Brandon, you will get your opportunities. And the fact that the Mavericks are probably again going to be playing a lot of relative small ball. I think their only healthy center is Dwight Powell, Anthony Davis, and I think Daniel Gafford are all on injury report. So the rebound opportunities, let's ignore these games where there isn't any. I think that's probably just a glitch in the Outlier app, because he somehow got 10 rebounds and 8 from 0 rebound opportunities. But when we look, he is averaging 13.4 on the season, and you see 12, 14, 18. In terms of field goal chances, they have gone down recently. In terms of the shots that he's taken, he is going into more of, I guess, a rookie role, get in the corner and shoot. But when you're shooting at a consistent clip, the odds will be hopefully in our favor. I mean, he's shooting at a 50%, 56, 38, 64. If he's taking up 21 shots, again, if we're getting the volume, I love volume bets. When you get volume, if the odds end up not working for you in the end, you can just put your hands up and say, hey, 9 times out of 10, we will cash that. But the narrative is, I think this is the second matchup between Cooper Flag, and actually it's the first matchup that the Duke teammates from last season will finally get to face each other. At the start of the year, Khan was getting shouts for Rookie of the Year until Cooper finally just took the team by the reins. So I think the narrative is going to be here. I mean, we have 2 former friends, former teammates. They're facing each other for the first time. All eyes will be on Cooper Flag, who, although has a questionable tag, I would be very surprised if he decides to not suit up tonight. If he's not healthy, if he's healthy, that is. So for Concanupple to get 26 points, rebounds, and assists, I'm not mad at it. In terms of the defending of it, surprisingly enough, and I guess maybe not surprising when you think about it, Miles Bridges, no, it's not Miles Bridges, I'm sorry. Najee Marshall could be reliable in his own work, right, when it comes to defending, but at the same time, the Mavericks are just so injured. They're going to be playing a lot of small ball. I think the opportunity for points again, Concanupple's role has been recently to just sit in the corner and shoot efficient open threes. So if that's there for us in the narrative, that's phenomenal. And they are the 10th worst team and the 2nd worst team when it comes to defending rebounds and assists. So in a game where all the eyes will be on Cooper Flag, I think the 3rd or 4th, arguably in the top 5 at least, best rookies of the 2025 rookie class will make himself known tonight. And off to our final prop of tonight, we're going to go with another, not necessarily a revenge narrative, but I think maybe a sort of a I told you so. We're going to go to Denver. We have the Nets taking on the Nuggets. Nuggets again, very banged up. Hopefully they will get Christian Braun, Jokic, and Gordon back soon. But they're going to be going up against the Nets, who they themselves aren't doing too good on the injury report. Terrence Mann, Cam Thomas, and Igor and Noah Clowney all questionable or out tonight. But we're focusing on Peyton Watson. And I like this matchup because this is Michael Porter Jr.'s first game back in Denver since the trade. He's played Denver in Brooklyn. He gave him 30 points, I think. Very good night. I was initially leaning towards him, and I might lean towards him in a separate parlay after the fact, and maybe in the comments I'll put down what I decide to do with him and Bobby Portis, because those were two leans that nearly made the cut. But we're going with Peyton Watson, points and assists. In terms of points, he's averaging. Well, we're not going to look across the season, but let's look across the last 20 since Nikola Jokic got injured. He's averaging 18 across the board. In terms of assists, he's averaging just over 1. He's getting 2, just over 2, so you can just call it 2. So for points and assists, I like 21 because we're going to be getting relatively a large volume size in the shots that he's going to take. I mean, anyone that's taking up 20 shots, the volume is there. And then if he's just averaging his assists, he gets 2, potentially an extra 1 to the likes of Jonas or Jamal Murray. I am perfectly fine with this bet, living or dying on us needing Peyton Watson to get 17, 18 points, and then him having to get 3 or 4 assists to cash us out. But again, I think the narrative is there. We're going to have a matchup of Michael Porter Jr. and Peyton Watson. I know that sounds very weird to say in a Nets-Nuggets matchup, but this kid has been cooking. I know there's a lot of jokes on Christian Braun due to his injury issues and him getting the money this season. And Peyton Watson, I think he becomes a restricted free agent this summer. This kid's gonna get paid either by Denver or by someone else. He has been doing phenomenal. The matchup is there for us. We're talking about a Nets team that is the 6th worst and the 8th worst team in the league at defending points and assists to the small forward position. I mean, it's Michael Porter Jr. He wasn't the greatest defender before, but now that he's in Brooklyn, he's calling the shots, I guess, as he always wanted to do. I mean, honestly, Michael Porter Jr., as much as the jokes are, I think his trajectory or pipeline as an NBA player is, honestly, it's almost the best one to have. I mean, you get drafted into a playoff contender, you do play your role, you get your ring, you go off to a tanking team and you get to cook, and now you're in chats to be traded to a contender. Hey, why not? But in terms of Peyton Watson, I think the narrative is there. I think he is going to he's announced himself, but I think he's really going to stamp his foot tonight and say that, hey, Michael Porter Jr. was traded, he's gone, but it's okay, I'm here. He is a very, very interesting player to watch, if in a good way. When he watches his games, he plays with that hunger of a guy who's playing for a contract, a young guy playing for a contract. I mean, the minutes are going to be there for us. He's getting low to high 30s. The field goals are there. The fouls, again, like Alshar Thompson, it is a concern. But again, that just goes to show just the passion that he plays with. The volume of shots are going to be there. He's attacking the rim. He didn't do too hot against Detroit because he also had 3 fouls. Not the worst shooting split that he's had all season, or at least since Nikola Jokic and Eric Gordon have been out. So a bounce back spot for him. The matchup is the guy that they traded, and they're trusting him to fill that void, and he's doing pretty good. Peyton Watson, 21 points and assists. And that's it for tonight. If you guys are still here, I do appreciate that. If you can like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. If you can comment and let me know what you're rocking with, what you're not rocking with from the card. Again, tell me what you're playing. Maybe we can play it together. But that's it for me today. It's Cobbs with the Parlay Parlor. Best of luck tonight. Gamble responsibly. Gamble what you can afford to lose. And may the odds be ever in our favor. Peace out.